Hello everybody, this is Moses from Wilona's Cave. Right now I am going to do the first session with Dragonbane solo, using the solo rules that came out a little while ago, the official solo rules with Dragonbane. I have, if you haven't seen the video where I'm setting up this playthrough and how I play solo, I'll link up a video right now so you can watch that as well. But everything is done with this journal. So I have a character. Let me move it up. I have a character. He is, his kin is mallard. He's a duck. His profession is a scholar. He's old, which gives me, I think it's 6 plus 6 skills. So I got 12 skills to begin with. And his weakness is craving knowledge. So he'll crave knowledge above anything else. His name is Hackleswell, the All-Knowing. So here's some of my attributes and skills. But we'll get to that later on. You see some more stuff there. There's his willpower points and his hit points. And he has a staff. Like in my last video, I explained that I use Skyrim. Okay, that's a little too loud. Okay, that was a little too loud, so I put that down a bit. I explained in the last video, I play Skyrim while playing solo RPG. It puts me in the mood. I can fast travel in certain spots. If I have to go to a cave, I will fast travel or travel to a cave and record what happens to me while I play, and use some, if not all of those things, those encounters, in my solo role-playing. So this is Hackleswell's traveling journal. It is written in third person. It's not like I saw a sun coming over the mountain range. It was bright red, whatever it is. It won't have any of that. It's going to be Hackleswell noticed this, or Hackleswell is exhausted now because of that travel, etc. So it'll be written in that way. Now, I have done the whole session already. Except the last dice roll. The last dice roll of each episode of this series will be a cliffhanger or climactic or kind of like edge of your seat, what's going to happen, or as best I could do. But the rest have already been pre-rolled, and I used sticky notes to cover the rolls, the dice rolls that I wrote down. So you can't like, oh, I already know what happened because I read the journal already, Moses. There will be my artwork in the journal as well. It's sort of like a beautiful, in my opinion, a beautiful storybook that we're going to go through. So let me show you this map first. This is the Misty Vale. Right now, Hackleswell is right here in Outskirt. He's right in this location. Okay, now let me go a little closer. He's right there in the center, in Outskirt, getting ready to go. It's early morning. He's getting ready, getting his stuff ready for a journey, for an adventure. And this is even closer. So right now he is near the mill. Number 7 is the mill. He's near the mill. His house is right here. That's where we're going to begin, starting with our journal. So let's begin. So here's the mill right here that you saw on the map. And this is Hackleswell's house right here, right next to the mill. Okay? The time right now is before noon. So it's like early morning, but the sun has been up for a few hours. So it's not noon yet. So of course, titled The Traveling Journal of Hackleswell the All-Knowing. The beginning. Now when I'm reading this, I'm not going to be reading you a story. I'm going to read this as a prompt to me to elaborate what I was thinking when I wrote it. So this is just helping me remember my story that I went through in the first session. So the beginning. Winter snow is almost done melting. So there's some flowers blooming here and there in the fields, in the meadows, but there's still a little bit of snow on the ground. The soil is not so hard that you can't dig through it. And it's starting to warm up. It's not really cold nights anymore, but you never know. There could be a winter storm coming up, a late one, or a really hard frost that comes by. Flowers are beginning to bloom. Hackleswell finishes packing for his journey. Now, I'm going to go through like my inventory right here. So this is my inventory list that I have on me. So he has a notebook, traveling journal, this journal right here, quill, sleeping pelt, torch, flint and tinder, and 3 food rations. I had to roll a d6 and it was a 3. In his pocket is a fishing line that is wrapped up tightly and a fishing hook that is pressed in a cork from a wine bottle. So there's a tightly wound fishing line and a hook that's pushed into a cork from a wine bottle so it doesn't poke him. So like I said, right now the time is before noon. So let's go to the next page. Now you can see these are where my dice rolls are. I don't want to show them because you're going to know what happens right away. But in his pocket as well is something very special. There's a memento. And that is a sunflower head made of, or carved out of wood. So that was a crude drawing of a sunflower head, but I wanted to make it a little bit different. So that's a crude drawing of a sunflower head carved out of wood. It's a memento and it's extremely special to him. Now, Hackleswell is getting prepped. He has the wooden sunflower head that he made sure he put in his pocket, buttoned his pocket up to make sure it got secure. And before he leaves home, walking out the door, he looks back and he sees a small wooden chair pushed neatly into a small wooden desk. And on top of that desk is a piece of parchment that's folded in half. What's that parchment have inside of it? I don't know. I haven't rolled on it yet. So what I like to do as much as I can or as often as I can is roll a weather dice roll. So it's a d20. A 1 is horrible weather and a 20 is beautiful weather. So I rolled and it was a 19. So it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful day. The sun is out. It's starting to get warm now. Everybody's happier. You know, the harsh winter is over, or hopefully over. It's still a little bit of a cold breeze from the mountains, you know, from all these mountains nearby. A little bit of a cold breeze still coming in, but it's not really that bad as, you know, that the dead winter could bring, the cold that it could bring. But it's getting better. So the weather's good. The birds are chirping and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to see if anybody saw him or noticed him when he was walking outside of his house. And I rolled on the fortune chart that is in the solo rules of Dragonbane. It's a d6, it's a yes or no. So you can see it right here. So it's a d6, a 1 is extreme no, a 6 is an extreme yes, etc. 2, 3 is no, 4, 5 is yes. Then you can go to yes, no, number, scale, power, quality, reaction. So we're going to do yes, no. And I rolled, if somebody notices me, let me put that down, I rolled a 5, which is a yes. Not an extreme yes, but it's a yes. And then I rolled on the Book of Random Tables, a D100, for elf names. I rolled a 49, which is Halamar. And I like that name. It's a nice name. So Halamar stops Hackleswell and says, "Hey, Hackleswell, hey, before you go on the journey, can I do something for you?" So then I went again to the Book of Random Tables. This is more of the characters, so you can just see all this right now. The Book of Random Tables, a D100 for human NPC jobs. That was the only thing I could find with jobs. And I rolled a 25, so Halamar is a soldier. Then I rolled on the fortune chart again for yes and no. Is Halamar a veteran or is he just a soldier? Has he gone to war? And I rolled a 4, which is a yes, a retired soldier that went to combat, went to battle. And I thought to myself, well, Halamar is most likely a close friend of Hackleswell. I wonder if they met in battle. And I rolled for that. Is Hackleswell a veteran? Rolled a 6, an extreme yes. So I took that as, due to an extreme yes, Hackleswell is not just a veteran, but a hero in battle. Why is he a hero? I don't know. I haven't rolled for that yet. So Halamar here knows that Hackleswell is leaving. He's an old friend of his, and he knows he's leaving to begin an adventure. And he knows what the adventure is about. Halamar knows what it's about. He invites him to a local tavern to buy him a pint and a plate of his favorite food, nice and hot food. He accepts the offer, and they both go to the tavern, to the local tavern. So there's the little tavern that they're in right now. I mean, I did the best I could. This is very, very tiny drawing, but there's a little tavern. There's a little fire right here. Hackleswell and Halamar are over here. Barrel full of let's say like maybe pickles, who knows? I don't know what. The light's coming in still, the morning sun, but little tavern that they're in. So Hackleswell is very punctual. He plans a lot, but how is he going to say no to an old friend and to piping hot, delicious food from a local tavern before a long journey? So then I had, what kind of conversation would they have? So I'm not too sure at all what they would have. So I had a roll on the inspiration table from the solo rules of Dragonbane. So I rolled, it's a d20, I rolled a 5, and it's a thing that they're going to talk about, a thing, and it rolled on death. Now this, when I saw this get rolled, I thought to myself, this is exactly going the way I had the premise of this journey to be. I have an idea of why Hackleswell is going on this journey, and it does involve death. Does Halamar ask about a recent death? I rolled in the fortune chart, d6 yes or no, rolled a 1, extreme no. So basically, if I remember my writing, so I rolled that Halamar was about to talk about death, but stopped himself when he saw Hackleswell's eyes. He noticed how sad they appeared. So something happened really bad, really horrible to Hackleswell, and he doesn't want to talk about it, and his friend Halamar knows it. That's why it was an extreme no. He doesn't want to bring it up. So Halamar knows what this journey is about that Hackleswell is going to go on. Let me get the map. So, like I said, they're right over here in Outskirt. Hackleswell wants to go all the way to that waterfall right over there in Dragonbane Peaks. Right there. Now, here's 15 kilometers. This is one shift. So that's a long distance to go all the way over there. So Halamar knows that. So he's going to ask Hackleswell, I know that you're going to go on a long journey, but have you ever been there? Have you ever seen this waterfall before? I don't remember you ever speaking about it. And let's see if Hackleswell has been there. So he's going to do a dice roll, our first skill dice roll of myths and legends, which he has a 14 on. So this is a roll under system. So he needs to roll a 14 or under to succeed. And a 1 is a dragon, which is a critical success. And a 20 is a demon, which is a critical failure, which you can't push. So Halamar asked him about that question, and I rolled, and he rolled a 15. So almost a success, but he failed. He still failed. So he replies that he's never been there, he's never seen it, he only knows of it because of the map. But then he tries to continue speaking, but stops himself when he says that it is the only place that she ... So he stops himself from continuing that conversation after he mentions she. Halamar looked at him with a concerned look on his face. Hackleswell abruptly stopped talking and then focused on his meal. So he doesn't want to talk about the reason, most likely the reason he wants to go to that location. If not the only reason he wants to go. You see, this is why I like, you see now in Skyrim, when it's sunset, like this pretty, I start thinking, is it nighttime in my location? And I start thinking, what does it sound like? This is why I like playing Skyrim. So or Witcher 3 is good too. But this is better for first-person view, so I could just look around and think to myself, how would it feel to be in this location if it was in my solo role-playing game? That's why I play Skyrim. Most of the reason why. When I'm playing solo RPG, that is. So Halamar wants to try to change the subject a little bit and tells Hackleswell that, my offer to join you on this journey is still on the table. If you want me to join, I'll go back to my house, tell my wife that I love her. I hope I return alive or not harmed. And tells him that, if you want a companion, this is the time to tell me, basically, because I really want to help, but I don't know what else much to do. And Hackleswell kindly declines and says that you've done enough. You've been a great long friend, and you fed me this delicious food, my favorite food. So Halamar knew exactly what to offer him to make him stay to eat with Halamar in the tavern. He offered him his favorite meal, which is roasted potatoes, fresh, in-season carrots with the carrot tops still attached. Here are the carrots and carrot tops. It was hard to get the carrot tops in here, but there's the carrots. Obviously, that's a fish. Here's the potatoes. A pinch of salt on the side, and crispy skinned baked fish. So, and this is most likely wine or something like that, and bread rolls, and there's this fork and a napkin. But this is his favorite meal. So I might use this later on if like maybe he smells like fish cooking or something. He might like, his weakness is craving knowledge, but if he smells fish cooking, maybe he turns his head a bit to like, where did that smell come from? So Hackleswell and Halamar enjoy their meals, grab their glasses filled with wine, and toasted to new adventures. Right now, the time is noon. So he really wanted to leave early. So now the time is noon, but because he accepted this offer of food from an inn, Tavern Inn, it is a services under the book, in the core rulebook of Dragonbane. Meal at an inn covers daily need of food. So 1 day of food is covered from that just one really hearty meal. Nice and warm meal. So then Hackleswell puts down his wine glass, stands up, and thanks his long old friend for the hearty meal, his favorite meal. Halamar, before Hackleswell leaves, Halamar reminded Hackleswell that we aren't the young heroes we once were, side by side in battle. So mind your steps. So I thought it'd be pretty cool if Halamar offered a gift to Hackleswell, his old friend. But he knows that Hackleswell is kind of closed, especially after recent events. Closed, and he doesn't want to really open up. He doesn't want to maybe accept gifts, but he tries anyways. So I asked the fortune chart if he would at least offer the gift, and I rolled a 5, which is a yes. So he does offer a gift to Hackleswell. Now then I asked, what in the book of random tables, what type of gift is it? So it's a D100 roll. I rolled under booths in a market. I thought that was a pretty good idea to roll for that one. And he rolled a 39, which is blankets. So let me clean up all these. So Halamar musters up courage and tells Hackleswell to wait. Hold on. Hackleswell turns around. He's towards the door of the tavern, going out, and turns towards Halamar. Halamar then pulls out a handmade blanket made by himself and his wife. Halamar tells him that he knows that Hackleswell doesn't want help. So he's basically saying, look, I know you don't want any help, but, he uses, like he says, like, my wife spent all night making this for you, basically saying that my wife insisted on you taking this gift. She made it with love. And we love you. Please take it. How is he going to say no? So I didn't roll on it. He accepts the gift. It's if he says no, it's kind of a rude response. Who's not going to want a handmade blanket on a long journey, probably in the cold? So Halamar reaches out with the blanket, and Hackleswell looks at the blanket and looks at Halamar, reaches out his hands and accepts the blanket, and a sigh of relief comes out of Halamar. Basically saying, thank goodness he accepted a gift at least. And, he says his thank yous and folds it up a little bit more and stows it away in his traveling sack. So then I added blanket into my character sheet, and at that moment, my encumbrance limit was hit. If I go over this, I only can hold 7 things, and I'm on 7. So if I go to 8 things or more, I'm encumbered. So then I wondered, is there anything special about the blanket? So I did another dice roll. That's what the DR is for, dice roll. Fortune chart, D6, yes or no. And I rolled a 6. It's an extreme yes. So Hackoswell then hugs Halimar and says thank you, and tell your wonderful wife thank you as well. This really means a lot to him. He's going through a lot, and this was a very nice gesture to offer a blanket on his journey. But as Hackoswell was basically heading out of the tavern, heading out the door, Halimar says one more thing. Like, he goes, hold on, Hackoswell, hold on, please. Just one more thing. There's one more thing I need to tell you about that blanket. Remember, extreme yes. So I used the inspiration table, dice roll inspiration table in the solo rules. It's a d20 for attribute. Now, what did I roll? I rolled a 12, which is secret. Halimar says there's something added to the blanket. So Hackoswell looks at the blanket that he just stowed away and looks back up at Halimar and says, what's that special thing? What is it? Halimar replied that if you are in great danger, don't forget how comforting wrapping a blanket around you can be. And in all honesty, even if it wasn't just a special ingredient or something else in that blanket, wrapping a blanket around yourself is comforting. But there's something special about that blanket. Now, what is it? I don't know. I just thought that was a cool idea. I have no idea why it's special. Of course, we'll find out through future dice rolls on why that blanket's so special, if we have to use it to comfort Hackoswell. Then they say their farewells once again, and they part ways. So right now, I'll say they're right across the mill. So they're right over here. They're in the tavern. So Hackoswell's leaving, and I thought, this direction is going towards the waterfall, but this exit is closer. So I decided Hackoswell goes out this exit and goes this way, not south. You know, there's no point of going south when he needs to go this way. So he's exiting out of this exit or entrance, depends on which way you're going, I guess, and going towards the north. So he's exiting out of here and heading this way. And the reason why he's heading out this way is to meet an old friend that runs the largest farm and owns the largest farmhouse in all of Outskirt. Actually, all of Misty Vale. But there's a drawing of the farmhouse right here. And that's where he's trying to travel to for seeing his old friend. For some reason, I don't know why, but he wants to see an old friend there. And I'll probably, of course, I'll roll on why he's going to meet him. There's a reason why he's going to this farmhouse before he goes to the long journey. So Hackoswell exits Outskirt from the south exit. He heads north to meet an old friend who happens to be a farmer of a very special farm. That's what I wrote. I don't know what the farm is about. It's the largest farmhouse and it's the largest farm, but it's also something special, something different about this farm compared to all the other ones that are surrounding Outskirt. So, like I wrote here, this farm across the river is different from the ones that surround Outskirt. So now on the next page, I asked, is there an encounter up until the river? You know, it's quite a ways. It's about, I think, about 10 kilometers. Is there an encounter that I need to worry about? So I rolled in the fortune chart, D6, yes or no. I rolled a 3, which is a no. So there was no encounters, no one stopped me, no one attacked me, etc. So he just walked all the way up to the river. So right now, he's right over here. Hackoswell's right over here. So he left here, walked all the way right here to the river. But when I look at the map, it looks like this bridge is broken. And then you could see that there's no more road going this way. So something happened to this bridge. Hence why you see a broken bridge here. So you could climb this way, but this direction is gone. So this side of it is a really steep fall. There's no way to walk across. You can walk all the way up here, but you're going to fall this direction. So he is a duck, so he shouldn't be afraid of water. So the bridge over the river is old and is in disarray and is crumbling, as you saw. Hackoswell sees that the bridge over the river has partially collapsed. He decides that it is safer to swim across the river. So he's about to swim across the river, but he ensures that his gear is tight, intact, not going to slip out if he swims with it. He doesn't want to lose anything down the river. He makes sure that his very precious sunflower, carved out of wood, the small little sunflower, is in his pocket still. It's buttoned up, everything is secure. He puts his staff strapped to his back, and he begins to swim. Now, he is a mallard, and he gets a special ability called or named Webbed Feet. So he can roll a boon, which is basically advantage, rolling 2d20 and taking the lowest number. Remember, it's a roll under system. And I think it says also you could also swim at fast pace as well. So he doesn't get slowed down. So he's swimming at fast pace. So his skill level for swimming is 10. So he needs to roll under a 10 with a boon d20. So he rolled a 2 and an 8. Obviously 2 is lower. They're both under 10 though. He succeeded. So Hackleswell slowly gets in the river, starts swimming easily. He's a duck, of course. Easily, and swims across the river. Not too far in the distance is a very large farmhouse. Surrounding the farmhouse are the largest farms in all of Misty Vale, let's say. So as you can see right here, the story continues after my live dice roll that I'm going to do right here. So I have no idea how this first session ends. I will find out live on this episode how it ends. So as Hackleswell finished swimming across the river, he can see that the sun is beginning to set. You know, it's been about 15 kilometers, and every 15 kilometers is a shift. So the story started basically in the morning. Then we went to noon. We left the tavern a little bit after noon. And now, 15 kilometers later, another shift. We're at 6 p.m., you know, like we're getting to sunset territory. Especially if it's early spring, sun sets pretty early. So sun is setting. And there's multiple things now we have to think about. So from outskirt to his current location is 16 kilometers. He then preps for a shift rest. He lays down his sleeping pelt. He then places down the blanket that was given to him by Halamar on top of the pelt, still folded. So there's a fur pelt that's on the ground and a folded blanket that was gifted to him by Halamar and his wife, laying on top of that fur pelt. So winter is ending, so it is not bitter cold. That's a key word used in the book. There's cold and bitter cold, and they both affect the gameplay. But it is still cold at night. So now I have to roll for a skill called Bushcraft, which is you roll for Bushcraft to lead the way through the wilderness, make camp, hunt, or fish. So he's making camp right now, hence make camp. And he needs to roll a 14 or under, and he rolled an 18, fail. He rolled an 18, fail. He does have willpower points that I can use because I took on the heroic ability called Soul Survivor, where if I use 3 willpower points, 3 WP points, I can not take on a condition by re-rolling. But I don't want to re-roll this early in the session. I didn't want to. So I just said, let me just play it out. Let's see how the story goes. So, and when I roll a fail, I like to narratively say what happened or why it happened, not just say it failed. So, due to Hackleswell's poor planning and the time it took to join Halamar for his gift of lunch, Hackleswell's plans were pushed back. So basically, he had it planned to where if he left early morning, almost towards noon, he would have had enough time to get to the farmhouse. So because he took that meal, that gesture from Halamar, his old friend, it took a few hours or took a couple hours, and he couldn't get to the farmhouse in time. So now there's sleep deprivation that he has to worry about now, and there's negative effects to that. And now for the final dice roll. Dice roll. Why was this resting place not suitable? And I'm going to do it as a D4. Late winter storm came in when he was sleeping. 2, attacked. That's not really a bushcraft-centric negative thing, but the reason I did that is because making camp, like other rule books, there's jobs. And one of the jobs is typically keeping watch. Like someone sacrifices their sleep to keep watch. Since he's solo, no one can keep watch. So because he can't keep watch, right here, he can't keep watch, he was attacked. That's if I roll a 2. 3, the river flooded. That's not good because Hackleswell slept right next to the river. So if the river flooded, that's going to be really bad news. And 4, I ran out of ideas basically. I'm going to roll in the inspiration table. So let's roll a d4 and find out what happens. Let's get all this out of here. Let's roll a d4 and find out what happens. Here we go. Let me make sure it's on camera. I really want to be attacked. I don't want the river flood or the winter to come or inspiration. 4, inspiration table. It's a good thing too, because if the river flooded, well, I guess maybe it still can if I roll really bad on this inspiration table. His gear was going to flow down river, because right now he's right here. He's sleeping right there. He's too far away. He's 3 kilometers away from the farm. If he slept here and it flooded, the gear was going to flow downriver to the haunted marshes. And I did not want to deal with finding in this maze where my gear went. So, but we'll see what happens with the inspiration table. So here's the inspiration table here. You roll a d20. So let's see what it is. So I'm going to say, I'm not going to pick what action, attribute, or thing. I'm just going to say, I'm just going to roll and find out what I can think of. A 2, right? A 2. Control, arcane, captivity. Let's see. Why was this a bad place? Control, arcane activity. 1. Avenge ancient barrier. Okay. I thought of a lot of things. And I'll tell you what the things I thought of. Remember, this is going here off screen. I'm not going to write right now. Off screen, it's going to go here. I thought of a few things. I saw arcane, I saw ancient barrier, captivity, control, avenge. And I'm thinking maybe there was some kind of mystical dome that covered him that he couldn't get out of. He woke up because someone put cast a spell around him that he couldn't leave. And I'm like, no, that's too early in the game to happen. And then I thought of maybe there's a ghost, an ancient ghost that's telling him, I am trapped, can you help me? And I'm like, that doesn't sound that logical right now. It's not that far away from, I'm pretty sure people would have talked about this ghost and he would have known about it because it's not that far away from outskirt. But a barrier, captivity, something happened. He had a dream or a nightmare, basically. And a nightmare is a fear, but this is just a regular nightmare. A nightmare is the actual fear in the core rule book. But he had a nightmare that he woke up from and he couldn't sleep again because he's worried. He had a nightmare that his friend in the farm, his old friend, is being held captive. And in the distance, he can hear howling, screaming. Something's happening in the distance. His friend is in trouble. He doesn't know why, he doesn't know how, but he has a gut feeling. Now, he does have intuition as a heroic ability. It takes 3 willpower points. Now, intuition, I'll read it from the book. When faced with a difficult decision, you can activate this ability to ask a question directly to the GM, me, or the Oracle, basically, and receive a helpful answer. The answer represents your vast general knowledge and should only aid your decision making, not reveal everything there is to know. Okay, that's kind of vague and hard, actually. So intuition, he's hearing something. He hears screaming in the distance. It's a calm night, so there's not much wind, not strong wind at least. So he's hearing something. And he could hear also things happening in the forest in the distance as well. A lot of movement. He's not too sure what's happening, but he's worried. And I want to ask the Oracle, is there truth? Because Hackleswell is experiencing issues, that he could hear things. It's not just a nightmare anymore. He's physically hearing things. And coupled with that nightmare, he's worried. So he wants to ask the Oracle. So I want to ask the Oracle, is there any truth to my nightmare? Is there any truth that my old friend in the farmhouse is in trouble. So a 1 is an extreme no, a 6 is an extreme yes. Extreme no. So an extreme no could mean he's having a terrible nightmare, and that's it. But no, that would have been a no. An extreme no is that he has nightmares every night. He has trouble sleeping every night. And I might do something with that. I might make making camp always a bane because of this. I'm not too sure yet, but he has trouble sleeping. So this 1 here, this extreme no, has altered the story drastically. This extreme no. So Hackleswell has gone through a lot. And we'll probably find that out through the sessions. And you will find out as well if you continue watching the story here on Wilona's Cave. So I hope you've liked the first episode of Dragonbane. This is a very different way of me playing. Typically I play on this channel with VTT, but this is the way I play. I draw out stuff and I make my own journal. This is how I play solo role-playing. I don't play on the virtual tabletop. So on the next episode, Hackleswell is going to meet his old friend at the farmhouse. Happy gaming, everybody. Bye.